The Body Keeps the Score by psychiatrist and author Bessel van der Kolk is quite possibly one of the most popular mental health books of the last decade. In this book, psychiatrist and author Bessel van der Kolk summarized his 4 decades of experience studying the impact of trauma on the brain. He synthesized the most important breakthroughs in neuroscience, psychology, and body-centered therapies, and created a coherent blueprint for understanding and treating trauma. We'll be doing a fast-paced, detailed summary of the book and dive deeper into topics like the brain-body connection, how trauma affects the body, and how it can make us less present in our daily lives. Make sure to listen to the end, where we'll talk about the ways to release trauma from the body and discuss some of the techniques mentioned in the book, such as yoga, theater, neurofeedback, and EMDR, as well as keeping positive relationships with others. Let's jump into it. The first lesson you'll most likely learn from this book is that the mind-body connection is real. When we experience a real or perceived threat, our brain's alarm system gets triggered. This alarm system involves a region of the brain called the amygdala, which Dr. van der Kolk refers to as the brain's smoke detector. When the amygdala senses a threat, for example, a person on the street who looks threatening, it triggers the release of stress hormones and activates the autonomic nervous system to orchestrate a whole-body response that propels us to run, hide, fight, or freeze in order to confront the threat. In these moments, we might notice a quicker heart rate, shallow breathing, sweating, and an inability to think clearly. Simultaneously, our frontal lobes, which Dr. van der Kolk refers to as the watchtower, offer a view of the scene from above. In many cases, they can help us respond to a false alarm and turn off the brain smoke detector. With PTSD, however, the balance between the amygdala and the frontal lobes shifts radically, which makes it much harder for the brain to recognize that the alarm is likely unwarranted. As a result, the parts of our brains that are on the lookout for danger are always on alert, and even the slightest sign of a threat can trigger the amygdala. It's this overactivity that might keep us trapped in a prolonged state of emotional reactivity that can take its toll on the body. In fact, according to The Body Keeps the Score, there are many examples where trauma is connected to physical symptoms. Which brings us to lesson number 2. Trauma can cause physical symptoms. Being trapped in a prolonged state of emotional reactivity might change the way our body functions. According to The Body Keeps the Score, when we're chronically angry or scared, constant muscle tension might lead to spasms, back pain, migraine headaches, fibromyalgia, which is basically widespread musculoskeletal pain, and other forms of chronic pain. The third lesson is that being traumatized is not simply a problem of being stuck in the past, it's also a problem of not being fully present in the here and now. According to The Body Keeps the Score, as long as we don't resolve the trauma, the stress hormones that the body secretes to protect itself from danger keep circulating, and the defensive movements and emotional responses that belong to the past traumatic event keep getting replayed in the present. For example, we might react intensely to some minor irritation as if the world were ending. Upon taking a step back, we may realize that these strong emotions are actually stemming from a traumatic event that occurred in the past. Another reaction to these stress hormones being released is to freeze and numb us down, which might make our day-to-day events less compelling. For instance, we could feel emotionally detached during birthday parties for our kids, or in response to the death of a loved one. As a result of not being able to fully take in what's going on around us, we might feel ashamed, alienated, and disconnected from our community. The Body Keeps the Score also teaches us that due to the profound impact that trauma can have on your well-being, your life might come to revolve around numbing unwanted sensory experiences. According to van der Kolk, numbing often manifests through self-destructive behaviors such as addiction to exercise, work, food, alcohol, or drugs. It can even impair your ability to act on your physical sensations. In other words, if you're not aware of what your body needs, you can't take care of it properly. For example, if you're unaware of your boundaries, you may ignore signs of exhaustion and continue to work excessively, potentially causing harm to your body. Now, let's go through some key strategies on how to release trauma from the body. We'll start with yoga. The Body Keeps the Score suggests that practicing to notice what you're feeling can foster emotional regulation, which could help you become more aware of what's going on inside you. In yoga, you focus your attention on your breathing and on your sensations throughout your practice. This heightened awareness will help you tap into the connection between your emotions and your body. For instance, you may notice that feeling anxious actually throws you off balance. Furthermore, body awareness can also change your response to the time it takes to overcome negative physical sensations, but also emotions. While trauma can make you feel as if you're stuck forever in a state where you feel incapable of improving your situation, in yoga, you can learn that negative physical sensations, as well as emotions, rise to a peak and then fall. To illustrate, if you're not able to hold a yoga position, a teacher might encourage you to notice any tension and hold the position for 10 breaths. As a result of this practice, you may learn how to reconnect to your body, anticipate the end of discomfort, and strengthen your capacity to deal with physical and emotional distress. Another way to release trauma from the body is being part of a theater group. This specific strategy is actually based on Dr. van der Kolk's research and rooted in a program called Shakespeare in the Courts, which offers adolescent offenders an alternative path to traditional punitive measures. Working alongside Shakespeare and company artists, young individuals have an opportunity to engage with Shakespeare's plays, where they explore the text, participate in classes, rehearsals, and ultimately prepare their own performance pieces. The program showed enormous efficacy because it helped the participants better understand complex human emotions, encouraged them to reflect on their actions, boosted their self-esteem, and improved their communication skills. Furthermore, through the program's collaborative nature, they developed a strong sense of community, forging bonds of camaraderie and cooperation. According to van der Kolk's research, by allowing them to physically and emotionally connect with their feelings and experiences, theater can help trauma survivors as well. Here's how. 1. It can help you regain control of your body. The book states that even standing up straight and projecting your voice through the theater can be a significant challenge for trauma survivors, because their inclinations are typically to try to be invisible. In order to act, you must move with intention and make deliberate choices about your physicality on stage, which can help you regain the feeling that you have full control and ownership of your body. And 2, theater can give you a sense of strength and competence. By being a part of a theater group, you're a valuable contributing member of a community, which can help you regain a sense of worth and competence. Additionally, communal singing and movement can give you a sense of strength, hope, and a visceral feeling of being part of something bigger than yourself. Another strategy is neurofeedback training, which is training your brain to achieve the desired state. But how does that work exactly? Well, your brain activity can tell a lot about your mental state. For instance, your brain waves, which are patterns of electrical activity occurring in the brain, for example, alpha, beta, theta, gamma, delta, are closely tied to different states of consciousness, attentiveness, relaxation, and sleep. They can serve as indicators of your focus levels and your overall state of relaxation. If your brain activity has been impacted by trauma, it's possible that your theta brain waves, which should be dominant during autopilot states, are amplified when you should actually be focused or alert. However, dysregulated brainwave patterns are not irreparable. They can be rewired and transformed thanks to neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity allows neurons, or the nerve cells in the brain, and the connections they form with each other to adjust their activities in response to learning or changes in the environment, and to compensate for injury. In other words, our brains have the incredible ability to rewire themselves, forming new connections and adapting their functioning to learn, grow, and recover, enabling us to continuously evolve and adapt throughout our lives. Brain training technologies such as neurofeedback can promote neuroplasticity and train your brain to regulate your brain waves to achieve the desired brainwave state, so that it can be easier for you to stay calm in stressful situations, like when you're struggling with difficult emotions and traumatic memories. The final technique we'll discuss is EMDR, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. EMDR is a specialized therapy that aims to reduce distressing emotions associated with traumatic memories. It does so by engaging bilateral stimulation, such as eye movements or taps, to help unlock and rewire the negative emotions tied to the trauma. Here's how it works. One theory suggests that when we think about a traumatic memory and follow something with our eyes, our brain uses more memory capacity than what's available. As a result, the distressing memory is not fully accessed and loses its intensity. As a result, the dual activity of thinking about a distressing memory and rapidly moving the eyes from side to side appears to reduce the level of emotion in the memory and promotes healing. According to van der Kolk, EMDR has two intriguing benefits. First, it may enable people to heal from trauma without talking about it. During an EMDR session, a therapist guides you through specific protocols involving focused attention on the traumatic memory while engaging in bilateral stimulation, such as eye movements or taps. Through this process, EMDR can help you access and process the traumatic memory at a neurological level, rather than solely relying on verbal expression. And second, it may give people rapid access to loosely associated memories and images from the past. This is due to the bilateral stimulation used in EMDR, like eye movements or taps, which stimulate both sides of the brain, facilitating communication and processing between different brain networks. By activating these networks, EMDR might enable easier retrieval of memories that may have been fragmented or tucked away. It's important to note that EMDR is not a one-size-fits-all approach. In fact, van der Kolk's research showed that even though EMDR could be a powerful treatment for resolving trauma that stems from an event that occurred in adulthood, it doesn't necessarily resolve the effects of the betrayal and abandonment that may accompany childhood abuse. One additional lesson, and our key takeaway message from the book, is that positive relationships are fundamental to our well-being. As Dr. van der Kolk states, our attachment bonds are our greatest protection against threats. Nothing soothes our fear like a soothing voice or a solid hug from a trusted person. For instance, children who experience a traumatic event and are not immediately soothed by their parents or receive other forms of emotional support may suffer the effects of said trauma long term. Indeed, traumatized human beings recover in the context of relationships with families, loved ones, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, veterans organizations, religious communities, or professional therapists. The purpose of these relationships is to foster the bravery to accept, face, and process the reality of what has happened, while also offering physical and psychological protection, especially safety from feeling shamed, admonished, or judged. According to Dr. van der Kolk and his bestseller, The Body Keeps the Score, our most pressing public health problem today is trauma, and we are well equipped to deal with it. The choice is ours to act on what we know.